speed it up? Can we change tempo? Can we pitch the vocals? Can it be like cunty pop, but also like Motown?
Hi Jade, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. I've been waiting for this. I'm very excited
Oh,
to talk
I'm
about
sure.
this
I
song.
think I've seen your TikToks.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. I mean, you've been killing the
Oh,
game on TikTok.
thank you. I do try.
How are you feeling? How's the last 2 weeks been for you?
Oh gosh. Feels great. Yeah. I mean, the response to the music's just been incredible. So, I'm really happy with that, and it's doing well. So that's all I could ask for, really, for it to be well received.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, the response has been amazing. I was in London when the song dropped. And I was at my friend's place, and he's British and he's a big Little Mix fan. And now a very big Jade fan. And we were sitting at the kitchen table, and he was like, "We cannot go to bed until midnight. We have to wait up to hear
Oh my
Angel of My
God.
Dreams." And we saw it and like blown away. And then in the morning, like gathered around the TV to watch the
The
music video as
video.
well.
Angel of my dreams, I will always love you, hate you, it's not fair.
It was
Oh,
like I can't remember a
I
moment
love
like this
that.
since like Lady Gaga Telephone or something like that.
Oh my God, that's iconic. I mean, I'm the same. If I'm into an artist or if I really want to watch a video properly, you have to do it on a big screen. Like you've got to give it
You've got
justice.
to
Do you know what I mean?
invest. Yeah, you were up on the plasma. I think that the best thing about this song is that it's so surprising. It's like ADD in the best way. The video is like just an absolute brain fuck, and I mean that in the most complimentary manner.
Welcome.
What was the blueprint going into it? Were like the first release I have has to be something that's going to like surprise people. They're not going to expect it from me.
Yeah, I think, that was always the plan. I definitely didn't want to sort of play it safe. I wanted to shock people and surprise everyone. And that is authentically me. Like I love to write music like that. And so
Yeah.
I guess it was about telling my story as well. Like obviously I have Little Mix fans, but still so many people don't necessarily know who I am or what my story is.
Yeah.
So it was for me for my first single, especially to kind of do that in my own sort of chaotic, hyper pop realness way,
Yeah.
using like, the influences that I loved listening to, and the video had to tell that story too, and in probably an even more chaotic way. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm interested about how, like, when you started in the studio, how you went about finding your sound because you've spent so many years writing for a band. It must be a
Mm.
completely different switch to be like, this needs to be 100% me now.
Yeah, it is. It took some time for sure. I'm very grateful to Emanike because he was the first
Mm.
person to be like, when it's time, we're going to get in the studio and we're just going to write like a shit ton of songs and try everything, experiment. Emanike is one of my really good friends, so I feel like safe
Yeah.
enough to be able to write anything with him. And if it's shit, then we move on. If it's good, we keep it. So that was an important process for me. And then I started going like back and forth to LA to work with new people. Because yeah, I didn't want to obviously the writers we worked with for Little Mix are incredible, but I thought it was
Yeah.
important for me to push myself outside of that and not have that comfort blanket around me. And ultimately it's made me a better writer because I've gone in a lot of rooms with people that I didn't know before. So I've had to like push myself creatively or prove myself,
Yeah.
which sometimes daunting, but I think it's important to do that and put yourself in uncomfortable situations so that you can start writing outside the box. Um, and then, in terms of Angel, I actually had a really stressful morning that day because the head of the label had just left. And he was one of the reasons why I signed with RCA. So I was like
Yeah.
panicking hard. Oh my God, like he was championing what I was doing so much. So I was freaking out. Like, does this mean they're not going to care as much? Blah, blah, blah. Thinking about, how fickle the industry is. And
Yeah.
that's when I went into the session with Mike, Sabbath, Pablo, and Steph. Told them about that. Pablo brought up how I kept trying to sample Puppet on a String years ago, and it just had never landed. And I was like, that's so weird you say that, because literally in my notes for the LA trip, I'd written Puppet on a String as a concept.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, it was one of them things where all the kind of stars aligned. And you know, Steph Jones is a brilliant pop top liner artist and songwriter. So it was just a dream team, to be honest. Mike Sabbath's as chaotic as I am in terms of like, if I say, can we speed it up? Can we change tempo? Can we pitch the vocals? Can it be like cunty pop, but also like Motown? And he's just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's quite rare to find producers or, you know, anyone in this business who are willing to just be like, okay, let's not try and write something that's
Yeah.
definitely going to get on radio or definitely, you know, going to be an easy listen. So that was really liberating for me. And I knew after we wrote that song that it had to be the first single.
But it must be daunting for you because you're not going out of the gates with the most traditional pop song. And there must be an element of you feeling like you have to prove yourself and you've got to tick so many boxes as a pop star. Was there
Yeah,
ever something in your head that was like, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing?
a little bit, but I feel like in doing it this way, it kind of made it easier, because I think if I'd gone with something that was maybe more like straight down the line, like an
Yeah.
expected pop song, if that had done like mediocre, I feel like that would have been a lot more upsetting than taking the risk of a song like Angel. Because, you know,
Yeah.
if Angel hadn't have done well, at least I could hold my head up high and be like, do you know what? I really fucking gave it a good crack. And
Yeah.
well, like I wanted to do that for myself, whether it landed or not. So, I genuinely was expecting a lot more of a very mixed response with that song. So to have seen, you know, an overwhelmingly positive reaction has been incredible. It's more than I could have asked for.
I mean, it feels like you found a real, like, kind of musical companion in Mike because obviously the work he's done with Ray as well, they haven't stayed in any box with that. And that's what made Ray break through with a song like Escapism, which was so different to anything happening on radio. It must have been a bit of a eureka moment for you to get in the studio with him and be like, here's somebody who's willing to go as far as I am.
I'd written Wasabi with Mike years ago.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
you know, justice for Wasabi always. So I kind of knew he was my kind of guy, but it was that classic industry thing where like I floated around the idea of working with Mike when I got over there, and there was a few, you know, people around me that were like, well, you know, Mike's not really doing much at the minute, you know, nothing, he hasn't really brought out that much, blah blah blah. Anyways, cut to Ray dropping Escapism in that album, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it was like, you have to get in with Mike Savage, you have to get in the room. I'm like, oh, like it's just, you know, standard industry shit. And I've always respected Mike and respected one, how he works, but two, like I think it's so important to never forget the people you are kind of coming up with, because
Yeah.
everyone like starts somewhere. When we did Wasabi together, you know, he was by no means like a huge producer yet. Um,
Yeah.
you know, and then because of that reason, it's just about creating together, you know, there's no pressure. Um, so I think I kind of always knew that Mike would be one of the main collaborators for the album, and we've done a lot together for this record. He's kind of, I wouldn't
That's
say he's
really
like
exciting.
executive produced, but yeah, he's been across the whole thing to, I feel like Angel became the glue of the album and helped sort of piece together what else should now be on there to match that vibe.
Yeah. I
Mm.
feel like this song has come at the perfect time. It feels like the past couple years, people have been trying to figure out what the sound of pop is. And finally, this year, everyone's been like, there is no sound of pop.
Yeah,
It's whatever you want to throw at the wall. And I feel like Ray
yeah,
obviously kicked it off, and then Charlie XCX this year. And
yeah,
just
yeah.
like a great year for pop in general with Chapel and Sabrina as well. Does it feel kind of right? For me, it feels kind of right that this song came this year for you because it feels like the year where pop's been blown open wide.
Yeah, I think, you know, everything, you know, happens when it's meant to. I wrote this song over a year ago, and at the time, especially in the US, they were like, okay, we've got it, let's go.
Yeah.
We made sure we sat on it and got it perfect, got the right video director, all those things. And I think, that it has worked in my favor because like you say, there's this huge like surge of just big pop now.
Yeah.
And that's exciting for me, like as a pop fan, like I live for it. And I don't know, I think there's a difference now, even from a few years ago with the band. Like there's just a lot more creative freedom, I think. I guess with like streaming, more independent artists, there's a
Yeah.
lot more just, yeah, like you can do what you want and just see if it lands or not. And I think you couldn't have really done that like 10 years ago because it would be
Yeah.
so risky. Um, so yeah, I actually am surprised that the label was so on board to just go with this.
Well,
But
it feels
I
like
guess that,
watching the success of artists like Chappell and Charlie, it's like maybe it is time to put the trust in the artist and their creative
yeah,
vision, like rather than trying to follow a trend.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's a great thing for any artist to feel supported in like whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, it's cool to just see so many female pop girlies like reigning. It's good
I feel
stuff.
like I feel like my followers would kill me if I didn't ask about this little snippet that you've put out as well. What is it? Is it what can you tell me about it? Is it the second single? Like what's going on?
Well, I just kind of wanted to, put a little
Pepper.
something out there, little Salt Bay, just to see how it reacted. And I always said that with the label, like, I just want to, again, like not follow like a rule book as such, drop little
Yeah.
bits. If something reacts well, then maybe we release it, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the response to that bit has been very good. So, I don't know, I can't commit to telling you right now if it's a
Yeah.
single. It definitely deserves a moment, and that is thanks to the fan reaction.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's all.
Is it hard for you sitting on this album? Because I know that you've got a lot in the bank, and obviously now seeing the response to Angel of My Dreams, you know that you're on the right direction. Do you
Oh
just
God,
want to
yeah,
like get up some mornings and want to just like go online and like
absolutely, absolutely. I feel like I've waited so long for this moment as well. I'm just like, I just want them to have it all.
yeah,
But the album's pretty much ready. And also there's songs like Angel, but there's songs very, very much not like Angel. Um, I wanted this record to literally feel like I'm finding myself and
yeah,
discovering like what the sound is. I thought it'd be cool for like the fans to feel like they're a part of that experience. So I like to think that when they listen to the album, they'll hear a song and be like, oh, okay, so maybe this is what she was influenced by on this one. And then they'll hear another one and be like,
yeah,
yeah, that's it in a bag. Like that's what I expected. So, a bit of everything. Because why not? I only get like one chance to have a first
yeah.
record. Not make it sound like it's just chaotic,
What I think
ballsy
is
energy.
like that's the chaos is what I'm embracing so much with this. And I just loved when I looked at your influence playlist and it's like Diana Ross and Scooter side by side. I'm like, that is our generation, like down to a T, like the iPod shuffle
Yeah,
generation.
it really is like growing up. It was, I mean, I don't know. I guess it kind of is. There's so much going on right now, but I guess because of like physical sales when I was younger, or like, I don't know, you're right. There
Yeah.
was just such a weird, eclectic, collective love for like different sounds. Yeah, like Eurodance. But obviously you grow up listening to what your parents are into too. So that's where like my love of Motown and Diana Ross came from.
Yeah.
Um I'd watch like VH1 with my dad and see all those kind of like all the 80s and like synth heavy music videos and songs. So there's a bit of that in there. But I loved Scooter, I loved Cascada, like Bass Hunter, all that
Yeah.
era of music. And then of course like the 2000s like pop girlies. So I do feel like I've Frankensteined a lot of those influences into my music in a way that I guess does feel like a Jade sound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which I feel like
so
a lot of those kind of artists like for a while had a cultural cringe around them. And even pop for like so long was kind of like not cool to study in a way and make it feel like
Yeah.
academic, but obviously now it is. But you must be so used to that because Little Mix had to push through and kind of gain your flowers as well because for so long people were like underwriting you. So it must just feel nice to be able to like be in a pop moment where it is so open and embracing.
It's so freeing. I think for so long, me and the girls, we were just constantly the underdog, I think, because one, we came from X Factor and it takes a long time to shift that like idea that
Yeah.
you're not credible because you're manufactured or, you're puppets, whatever. And then, we had our first hits, but then it was like, oh, Little Mix are a guilty pleasure for a while, and that was really annoying.
Yeah.
But also just not being taken like seriously as like songwriters. So I think it took us like a good 5 years maybe to finally get that sort of like, oh, Little Mix are sick, they're
Yeah.
amazing, they deserve their flowers. And I don't know why that is. It's very annoying because I'm such a huge pop fan and I never found or understood anything cringy about, you know, the pop that I grew up listening to, whether that was like
Yeah.
Steps,
Yeah,
like Liberty. Yeah.
exactly.
But I mean, I'm just like, if it's a banger, it's a banger. Who gives a fuck
There's
who did it?
such
Do
a
you know what I mean?
craft to it. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I feel like
there
the
really is. Yeah, you look at like Max Martin, who's, one of the biggest
yeah.
songwriters of all time. You can't sit there and tell me that he's not as credible as any other songwriter. I mean, obviously he's earned his flowers very much so,
Yeah.
but
But a guy picks up a guitar in a room and it's like set applaud. A
yeah,
true
it's so weird.
artist.
It's very strange, but maybe there is a bit of misogyny in there, um, or just people like, what it's like. It's like the kids at school that don't want to admit because they want to be super cool, but like you can't listen to "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time" and not sing along. So,
Exactly, exactly. And that is such an art. I mean, I think
it-
that's a perfect note to end it on because I feel like you have championed pop so much over the past decade and more. And it feels right for you to be in this moment, like having what I think is the pop song of the year, and it's going to be bloody hard to beat. So
oh my
thank you.
gosh!
Thank you
Oh
for
gosh!
that. And thank you for chatting. You're
Thank you
on
so
top
much.
right now.
No, I'm like, do I retire now with one song?
I
I
mean,
don't.
maybe. Yeah. No, don't.
Sorry, I'm
Everyone
being
will
such a
kill you if
kid
we
now.
don't get that album. You'll never live it
I'm
down.
literally getting my nails done as we're having this
I
conversation, by the
love
way.
that. That feels totally right.
But yeah, I'd love to. I enjoy your TikToks. I'm really grateful for your support of the music and who I am as an artist. It really means a lot when people just get it.
Yeah.
Um, hopefully I can come to you and we can watch some music videos together.
Let's do it. Let's just have a YouTube praise here. I'm down for it.
All right, and thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Jade. I really appreciate it. Have a good day.